Hello, I'm IBXToyCat, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about currency in Minecraft for Xbox and Minecraft for PlayStation. And this may seem like a strange thing to talk about, given that there already is a money system in the game, which is, of course, emeralds. So you can buy stuff off villagers using emeralds, and you can sell stuff to villagers and get emeralds in return. This is great for single player, it's a really useful currency, but if you want to set up an economy server, it's not so great. So an economy server is where you can buy stuff and sell stuff of other players using a existing currency, and the reason you don't want to use emeralds as your currency is, first of all, the best way to get it is not through trading, it's instead through trading with villagers, which is of course not what you want with your currency. You want people to have to get it from other players. Second of all, there's an infinite amount of it because you can trade with villagers infinitely to get more emeralds. And third of all, this is kind of the second point, but even worse, all it takes is one bad apple in the world to make the duplication glitch, and then you have an infinite amount of it, and your entire currency is undermined by that. So emeralds aren't a very good currency, but in this video I'm going to be talking about what does make a good currency, as well as, what makes a bad currency, and hopefully giving some suggestions that you might enjoy. So if you're setting up a currency server, this is very useful, and even if you're just curious, then maybe you do like it. Either way, please do like the video if you do like it helps out the channel a lot. And let's get straight into the video, shall we? So let's start with what makes a bad currency. So the four most common currencies are going to have to be these three blocks right here, gold, diamonds, or emeralds. Or paper, because paper kind of looks like paper money. First of all, why are these blocks so bad? These are also bad because of how easy it is to duplicate using blocks, because basically duplication glitches stop you having two of the same item by duplicating it, but they don't stop you from, having two emerald blocks, turning one back into emeralds, and then having two sets of the same items, but differently. It means you can infinitely duplicate any of these things. There's always some glitch out that will allow you to do that, and until that is fixed, these are all very bad currencies. And also paper, it seems to be good because it's not, susceptible to the same duplication glitch, but because it is infinitely producible, all you need is a sugarcane farm. It's very, very easy to make, meaning it has very little value by itself. Like, one piece of paper is just literally worthless, meaning if you want to have paper having any value in the world, you either have to get rid of all the sugarcane, or you can have it be worth very little each. So you can make it so one diamond costs you 6 chests full of, paper, which is just impractical to transport. That makes it very, very awkward to carry around stuff. So let's talk about what does make a good currency. And there are 4 key characteristics. This is something I learned from economics. First of all, it must be easily divisible. So if you make the Ender Dragon egg your currency, that seems like a good idea because of how ridiculously valuable it is. But there's only one of it. You can't trade someone, to get 0.5 of their Ender Dragon egg for like 6 diamond swords. It doesn't work that way. If you want to get something small of someone, you have to give them the whole currency. It makes it a bad currency, so it has to be divisible. It has to be convenient to carry. It can't be 6 chests full of paper to, throw at someone. That's not convenient for anyone. It also has to possess some form of value itself. This is not necessary, but it's very useful for a currency. If it doesn't have any value in itself, then, what use is it? It's just this fake money thing. And finally, it must be limited in the quantity. It can't have an infinite supply. Not everyone can just make it. It has to have some amount of limit on it. And I'm going to be talking about currencies that kind of mint this goal today. So let's start with dead bushes and shrubs, because this would be the one single use that these things have. So these are dead bushes, of course, just here. They spawn in the desert. Oh, sorry, these are dead bushes, and if you find them elsewhere, they're called shrubs. So if you destroy these with shears, then you will get these 2 items. And the great thing about these is they are very good at being limited. You will only get maybe a stack, maybe 2 in a 360 or PS3 sized world. Not very many at all, and that means they have a lot of value each, but still not too much that you can't trade everything. The big issue with them, and they fit all these things, but they don't have any value themselves. They're kind of decorations that you could argue is a good value, but no one ever wants to use dead bushes as a decoration. And the second big problem is that sometimes, on most worlds, you're not going to have enough, of these items to actually make good trades. Like, these will become worth too much each. Like, even if there's only 2 stacks of them, then you won't be able to buy, a bread of someone. You might be able to buy an iron sword or a piece of iron armor. They just will be worth too much. So, problematically, if your server's large enough, these 2 things aren't great. Other than that, they're the easiest one to get, because all you need is a pair of shears. You don't have to have silk touch, and then you get yourself dead bushes or shrubs. So, reasonably good idea. They're an easy one, but they're not the best. Second of all, there is going to be one that involves having a central player keeping the control supply, but are very useful otherwise, and that is jack-o'-lanterns or cactus greens. So, if you take all the cactuses in your world, or you take all the pumpkins in your world, and then you put them somewhere safe where only one player can have access to them, who has to be the banker, and who you have to trust, of course, then what you can actually do is you can make either cactus greens, which of course require smelting cactuses, or you can make jack-o'-lanterns your currency. The cool thing about this is you can't uncraft them. You can't turn a cactus green back into a cactus, for instance, and it means that the jack-o'-lantern is both useful, it actually is a use because it's got this cool light thing, and it also could be, you can make the money supply as much as you need it to be without it actually being infinite. So you could have 1,000 of these in your world, you have 10,000, you'd have 100,000, as many as you need to have, and then give each player as many as they need to have. So yeah, that's why jack-o'-lanterns or cactus greens are a reasonably good idea, but the big downside here, because although they do have most of these things done quite well, they do require trust in one player not to ruin everything, and that means all it takes is one person breaking breaking into the, the pumpkin supply, one person breaking into the cactus supply, and then everything goes to hell. I mean, you could burn them all to get rid of that, but then you just create the same problem where you might not have enough, and they also don't have too much value by themselves. Like, green dye isn't that common, jack-o'-lanterns aren't that useful, so yeah, you could argue this isn't that great an item. Next up, the next best currency. This is very, very close to being the ideal currency in my opinion. The big downside is it requires a setup cost of needing shears with Silk Touch, which of course requires like about 100 enchanted books and then get lucky and then put it on shears. But basically, yeah, if you find abandoned mine shafts, like all of them in your world, and you take all the cobwebs from them, so there's no natural way to get them, then cobwebs make a great currency because they are, easily divisible. You can give someone 10 cobwebs or you can give them 100. You're going to have about 1,000 in your world, which is enough to, make it so you probably won't have to have the problem with divisible. They have some use in themselves, like cobwebs are a pretty cool block if you need them for something, you could just use them that way, and also they're pretty good in the fact that once they're all gone, there's no way to make them. They're not infinite in supply. Their big problem though, the reason that cobwebs aren't a great currency is, first of all, it seems kind of weird to say cobwebs, but if you want actual practical issues, the big kind of issue is that they're not, they're just slightly too limited. I mean, if you have a small enough world, they're great, but past a certain point, they're not going to be too useful. Also, the big problem is you can't do them from the get-go. You need to have Silk Touch shears. So, big problems are, it's a weird currency. Second big problem, there might not be enough. Third big problem is that, you need to get Silk Touch shears before you can have a currency in your world. And most currency servers, you want to get started from the get-go. You want to go from day one having a currency, and this doesn't fit that. The next one I'm going to suggest, this is very close to being right, is going to be Emerald Ore. So, Emerald blocks themselves don't make a good currency, but the ore does. So this does require a Silk Touch, thing again. But it's on a pickaxe where you can get it much easier. And the reason Emerald Ore is so great is it only spawns in limited quantities. It has a lot of value because you can turn it into emeralds, so it always has a minimum value of whatever an emerald is. Like, they can never be worth less than emeralds, and, there's no way to duplicate the ore itself. So, that's good enough idea by itself, but there's, again, the issue of limit. Like, for a smaller world, emerald ore is a really cool idea, because then, the two currencies are very linked. But if you don't have a big enough world, then there is one perfect currency, in my opinion, and that is gold ore. So, the reason gold ore is so great is it doesn't require a Silk Touch pickaxe to get. If you just mine it with a regular pickaxe, you will get it. Second of all, it has an intrinsic value. If you need gold to make, golden carrots, golden apples, anything out of gold, you need gold ore, and, of course, that means that the currency has value outside of just being your currency. Third of all, of course, you can't duplicate it. There's a limited supply. You have about 100,000 blocks in your world, and, they'll be slowly mined over time. So even though people slowly destroy your currency, there's going to be more and more, and that means it will have a slightly changing value, but that's good for a currency. It'll go up and down towards the end of your world, once all the gold's been mined, it will start to become worth more and more, and I think that's perfect. That's what you want in a currency. That's what real world gold is like, and gold ore kind of perfectly matches that. So, yeah, I think gold is the perfect currency for Minecraft worlds because you can do it from the start, you can do all the extra things I've just mentioned, and I think it's kind of like real world gold. And plus, it seems intrinsic to people just say, yeah, gold ore's worth money, not gold ore. And that's just my opinion. If you want to make an economy server, I would recommend gold ore. I'd say if you can trust a central banker, then pumpkins or jack-o'-lanterns or cactus greens are good. But otherwise, I'd say gold ore is just the perfect thing. You don't need to check people. You don't need to make sure, they're not trying to duplicate. You don't have to make sure they're not mining because they're allowed to go mine for it. Like, you can, if you want to get stuff, you can either go mining or you can trade it people. I think that's a good idea. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. Please do like it if you did like it. Share it if you really liked it. And subscribe if you're new around here. I do videos like this every single day on my channel. And if you subscribe, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Anyway, thank you for watching. And I'll see you all in the next video.